Hey there guys, so the last time in the anime, we saw that our pure and innocent Kurt was a member of the Flaming Dragon Party that quickly rose up to the double S rank. But Kurt couldn't fight in battles, so he only did chores for them. That's why the party leader Galnova kicked him out. So Kurt went over to find jobs at Krishel's workstation, where they help people find jobs. There Kurt met a girl who's looking for a miner. So Kurt gets on board, and went over to the mountains with Yulia. Yulia was a noob at mining, but Kurt was a pro, and he quickly found a crystal and even infused magic to turn it into a magic stone. Kurt thinks he has very little amount of magic. That's why the magic infusion took so little time. But when Yulia went over to sell this magic stone, she discovered it's one of the highest grade stones. That's when Yulia realized what kind of monster she had found, so she went to Krish and told her not to reveal any information about Kurt. But on the other hand, Kurt's previous party was getting on the tight spot as leader, and their healer both couldn't use their magic in the battle. They had hired a mage in place of Kurt, but he was not cut out for anything. And away from there, Yulia got back to mountains and got another surprise. Kurt built a house in just one night, but putting that aside, Yulia offers him the job of the director of the Royal Magic Tech Lab, a post that will make him a noble. But Kurt was way too demotivated and thinks he's not good enough for such a high-ranking post, and he likes his current job, and turned her down anyways. Kurt asked about those magic crystal, and Yulia promised she had deposited the money in his account, but now she wanted to get back to work, and Kurt said he had already found a Orvain. He slept 6 hours to work again, and Yulia thought it was so little sleep, but Kurt misunderstood by her expression that he slept for too long and promised to make up for the time he slept. Then afterwards, he showed Yulia a place to dig where she could find ores, but he warned her not to dig beyond 50 meters, as he had to leave to dig somewhere else. Then after a while, Yulia finally found her first ore, and by its size, she could make plenty of money from it. So she decided to go look for Kurt now, and she thought Kurt must have found a big haul himself like the last time. But boy didn't just found a big haul, he created an entire mining area through the mountain. It was way too huge, and there Kurt came out of a cave. He apologized first because after all this, he only found useless rocks in a mine. Yulia wasn't angry or anything, but taking a closer look she realized it's mithril ores. And dude considers this rocks useless because in his village they find so many that they throw them away, which just threw Yulia into a dilemma, because this ore is more precious than gold around the world. But then this clicks into Yulia that Kurt was finding another ore, and Kurt showed her its ore halcum. It's a stuff of legend, and dude doesn't even know. He dug 8 kilometers tunnel to find this, or in just 8 hours. That means he carved out a way through the forest to the other side. He's truly a monster. So after that they got back to town, and the way was then used to connect 2 cities. But then Kurt meets Bandana on his way, and she opened up. She also got kicked out of the party. Their leader was on edge because he couldn't find good food like Kurt used to make, and left the restaurant without paying. So when Bandana appears, he orders her to find Kurt and bring him back. Bandana played along, but she knew the guy was going to get arrested soon, which means the party was going to disband. So she bailed out first and lied to Kurt that Galnova kicked her out too. Kurt had hoped to return to their party, but now he won't be able to. So Bandana knew Kurt must be looking for work, so she recommended him to work at Atelier Meister's house. They're one of the high authority of the kingdom, and Kurt agreed. The Atelier Meister are like sages who makes many legendary things, and they are treated as equals to a viscount in social standing. So Kurt thought he found a good job. But the one who answers the door was the little elf. Kurt thought this little girl couldn't be an Atelier Meister. So Michelle introduced herself and said she's an apprentice. Kurt said he was here on a recommendation from Bandana. So Michelle quickly brought Kurt over to the kitchen that looked like a demon's den. She's clumsy in cleaning, and right there her master Ophelia called Michelle over. So she goes out, and Kurt was a little down because he expected much when Bandana recommended him here. Anyway, Kurt did his magic in the kitchen and went over to find Ophelia, but he found another girl changing in a room. Kurt got shy, but the girl didn't, and there Kurt saw the girl had a curse mark on her stomach. It looked seriously bad, so he asked for permission to take a closer look and touch it. Kurt realized the girl's internal organ must have been damaged by now, but luckily she was still feeling hungry. So Kurt took a note of that and decided to cook something light for the lady. But away from there, Ulysses meets Mimiko again and tells her everything. Mimiko judged that both Mithril and Orichalcum would cost 50,000 gold at least, so if this news gets out things will get bad for Kurt, but Mimiko wonders how Kurt stayed hidden all this while. And Ulysses revealed he was part of the Flaming Dragon Party, so now she's planning to make Kurt an Atelier master and become his bodyguard. But the only problem is that Kurt undervalues himself too much, so he might refuse, and Kurt, he made porridge, and their Atelier master came to the kitchen. So Kurt politely tells her that he met the girl in the room who's hungry and made this. So she asked Kurt to never speak about that girl to anyone. After that, she gave him his payment, which was too much, and sent Kurt away. The girl was a student of the Atelier master, and she helps Lise get dressed because she's not used to wearing clothes herself. There, her tummy started rumbling, so Ophelia thought of checking the food first, but Lise decided to eat it right away because her heart tells her that Kurt won't put poison to the food. And besides, she's gonna die anyway with this curse, so there's nothing to worry about. That's how she took a bite, and first it tasted good, but then Lise suddenly fell down. Ophelia thought Kurt really did poison the food, and decided to get back to him, but Lise was really well, in fact the curse had been lifted. So the mastermind orders an assassination of Elise this time, and then Ophelia went over to meet Mimiko. She vowed Ulysses is a trustworthy person, and only then the girl revealed herself. She was the third princess of the kingdom, and she was born between the king and the princess of the neighboring empire. She's the sign of peace between two nations, however. Someone is after her life to shatter the peace between two kingdoms, so Ophelia wanted Mimiko to find out about the curse, but Mimiko first questioned how did the curse got lifted, and Lise informed them the reason is Kurt, and they got yet another shocker. But right there our episode 2 ends, so stay tuned to watch the next episode, and for that subscribe the channel, and hit the bell icon to get the latest updates. Till then, take care.